This is a special podcast presentation from 700WLW.com. This is Darryl Parks on Demand.
Good friend Nick got me to thinking. There are those that work in the public sector that just can't handle it in the private sector. They're not strong enough, like Nick. He's a veal. I'm surprised he didn't burst into tears calling him a veal. 7 after 10, I'm Darryl Parks on the big one, 700 WLW. So what's it going to be? Will it be Loveland? Will it be Norwood? Little Miami? Will it be Lebanon, Batavia, or West Claremont? Which school levy will I focus upon? Election Day is coming up shortly, beginning of May. Each of these school districts are pleading poverty, crying poverty. You know, a rule of this program is very simple. If you vote for a school levy, you're stupid. If they have $1 million to spend, they'll spend $1 more. That's how it works with any school district. People have asked me numerous times, Darryl, why are you so anti-teacher? Darryl, why are you so anti-student? Darryl, obviously you have had some bad experiences in your upbringing. No, I am a product of the public school system. I hold a New York State Regents degree. Even back in those days, you had to take proficiency tests in New York State. I hold a New York State Regents degree. I went to a public university. I hold a Bachelor of Arts degree. The public school system served me well. In the state of Ohio, it has been ruled unconstitutional the way schools are funded. And the only way to get this changed, and how many times have you heard of governors saying they're going to reform the school systems? And they have done zilch. It's been going on for decades. Decades. No one refuses, or everyone refuses to do the right thing. Well, we have a representative of the opponents in the upcoming election in Lebanon. Rick McPherson joins us. Rick, good morning.
How you doing, Darryl?
All right, and Rick, first of all, why are you so anti-Lebanon levy?
It's just the wasteful spending. It's just a tax and spend system that has got to get under control.
How are they overspending in Lebanon?
Well, in fact, it's not so much it's spending, but it's the way it's currently being done. On March 21st, of just a couple weeks ago, there was a standard school board meeting, and I'm sure everybody's aware of Senate Bill 5 was looming at that point. It already passed the Senate and was off to the House. So what we nicknamed them was the Looters of Lebanon. Our school board, our elected officials, who really are there to basically safeguard our taxpayer money, and the superintendent had a brilliant idea that they were going to shove this new teacher's contract through unannounced to the public whatsoever. The agenda was already out. They did not have the guts to actually put this on the agenda. Minutes before the meeting, they slid through to the board members a supplement to the agenda, which was an addendum. So anyway, this meeting got very debated.
Well, wait a minute. So, Rick, there's a backroom deal going on between the people that are elected to be fiscally responsible with tax dollars in your school district, right?
That's correct.
All right. And the backroom deal is between them and the teachers' union.
That is correct.
So let's get this done before the governor signs this into law.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes. In fact, some of us had been tipped off that this was going to possibly happen, so we arrived early to the school board meeting around 6 o'clock. The meeting started at 7. All the school board members' cars were there. The doors were locked. Here they all come walking in together. So obviously, they probably violated sunshine laws at that point by meeting privately because they were there for about 45 minutes before they entered the actual meeting room.
So the school board members and the superintendent, they're like Dracula. They're like vampires. They don't like the sunshine.
That's correct.
All right.
That's correct. So anyway, they announced, they go on about the meeting, and then all of a sudden they say they're going to go into executive session to negotiate the union contract. In my, understanding of negotiate, that would mean that the union representatives would be there. We would probably have the school district's attorneys, and we would hammer out a deal. That was not the case. 30 minutes later, 25 minutes later, they come back and vote on it and, of course, approve it.
Mm-hmm.
So it really wasn't union negotiating. It was just a scheme to try to and make it appear as though that they were in deep thought about this. They already had their deal done.
So they cut a deal, so to speak.
Yeah, that's exactly what you could
All right,
call
well,
it.
if you go to my blog at 700WLW.com, look up Darryl Parks, search the word Darryl, and there was a video of this meeting. Now, there was an individual, what was his name, Rick Waters?
It was Robert Waters.
Robert Waters, that stood up and protested that they were going to go into the cave, the dark cave, the murky and musty cave, to cut this deal. And at one point, I believe it was one of the school board members, told the guy to sit down.
No, that was actually the superintendent.
Oh, that was the superintendent. Sit down.
Yeah, he's the face of the Lebanon City Schools and acted like a child.
All right, now, what's his name?
Mark North.
So, Rick, have you ever thought about debating the superintendent of schools in Lebanon?
I would love the opportunity to do a public debate with him.
And what has the response been?
I don't think it's really been extended at this point in time. I mean, we've talked about it. I know that there's been other offers made to him by, I think, some local members of the Tea Party that were interested in doing a public debate with him and somebody from the Tea Party. And he doesn't like what he calls bomb throwers. They had a question and answer, or they had a public information meeting is what they're going to say it was, and I think it was February the 15th. And it was a Q&A, but the only way you could ask questions was through index cards, and, of course, they didn't have time to really answer those, so they wanted to send you a response to them. In fact, there was a lady in the audience that asked, can't we ask you some questions? And, again, he pretty much told her to sit down and shut up and belittled her.
All right. Now, Rick.
Yes.
Is free speech being prohibited when it comes to one of these meetings in Lebanon?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, they have a point in time where it's in the beginning of the meeting where the members of the public can speak. But, the problem is you don't know what they're going to do during that meeting, so you really never have an opportunity to, open the floor for debate, or if they're going to do something, it's very tight-lipped as far as what they allow you to do. In fact, what Mr. Waters did, I'm sure, violated their meeting policy as far as where he stood up and wanted questions answered.
All right. So the superintendent of schools is ruling with an iron fist. You have a board member. How many people are on the board at the school district there?
You have 5 members, and 4 of them have an interest within this teachers union in some regard. They're either their husbands, wives, or their past employees of the teachers union. In fact, the president of the board, she's still drawing a $12,000 a year buyout. So how can she objectively vote on a union contract? She's a 30-year-plus teacher, and they bought her out of her contract.
Rick McPherson, I'm going to ask a question, and I'm going to be offensive, and you're being very how shall I say? You're being very cordial in this. Would you say, or would you agree with me, that the school board in Lebanon is bought and paid for?
Yes, by the teachers union.
Which sadly is the case in many school districts across the state of Ohio.
That's what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's going to happen if this school levy is defeated in Lebanon in about 4 weeks?
Well, I mean, I can tell you our group, it's not going to end there because we feel that they'll probably still try to put some sort of levy back on in November, but our goal will be to vote out. There's 3 board members that are currently going to be up in November, and we want to run them out too because they're just as corrupt as the superintendent.
Do you have any idea how the polling is going in the school district right now? Is it are people thumbs up or thumbs down when it comes to this additional levy?
My guess would be it could fail 70-30 at some point. I mean, we've got about 10,000 hits on. There's a website out there. It's called LebanonSchoolFacts.com. It's not really an anti-Lebanon or school levy website, but what it is it's a facts website. And I've worked with some people on this, and I think they're well over 10,000 hits on this website, and there's been a lot of blogs posted, and people are just fed up with the shenanigans that's going on, and it's the shell game. They always want to hide something.
Yeah, here's a big problem, and this is all encompassing in the entire state, all 88 counties in the state of Ohio. There are 180,000 teachers, and right away when you start talking about school districts and you start talking about levies, and it just degenerates into teachers being overpaid. But that's only I don't totally agree with that statement. The problem is bloated bureaucracies when it comes to school districts. You have 180,000 teachers in the state of Ohio. I don't know if you're aware of this, but you have about 130,000 support employees in every school in the school districts across the state.
Yes.
I just happened to see a report on, I believe it was the NBC Nightly News last night, and it was talking about school districts that are short. And it wasn't in this state, and it was they were short on guidance counselors, and that each guidance counselor in this school was responsible for I think the number was 400 students. And I started thinking about it, and when I graduated from high school, my graduating class was around 500 kids, and there were only 2 guidance counselors in my school system, in my high school. Yeah. I mean, why has this changed over the years?
I think you nailed it. This whole thing is being ran. I mean, if you think about the way this works, your superintendents, your principals, all the way through, they're ex-teachers. So they're comfortable in that environment, and they're saying the more the better is what I think they really want to tell you.
No, I don't know this, or I don't know this answer, but is the superintendent in Lebanon, he's not double dipping by any chance, is he?
No, we got our share of those.
All
but
right.
I will say that this Mr. North, I'm a person that says if you sign a contract, you should live up to your contract.
Of course.
Well, he's been in Lebanon since 2006. He has renegotiated his contract where he had active contracts in place. Mm-hmm. He resigned. They rehired him immediately, like in one of their little school board meetings again. He has received over $50,000 in raises in the past 5 years.
Oh hell, he's the Brian Kelly of school superintendents then.
Yeah, he makes more than the governor of the state of Ohio, more than Maureen O'Connor, the chief supreme justice in the state of Ohio. He makes more than all these people. It's sad. We have another person in this district. We created an HR department chief. They hired him. He had retired from the Kettering school system. He's getting $108,000 on retirement. We hired him at $122,000. So we have our own double dippers.
Yeah. All right, well, Rick McPherson, there are numerous people sending me emails, support or go against the Loveland or the Norwood, the Little Miami. And I don't want to pick on Little Miami. That's like kicking around the Sisters of the Poor. Lebanon, Batavia, West Claremont school levies are all coming up in a few, or I should say the levy is an additional levy in each of those school districts in about 4 weeks, with the election coming up at the beginning of May. Rick, yeah. I know you have a question to ask me. Ask me the question.
Darryl, can we get you to support the anti-levy movement in Lebanon?
Rick, I agree to come on board.
Great.
We're going after Lebanon this time.
Hey, maybe next week we can get Mark North on the phone. We've got a cell phone number. Maybe we can call him and see if he wants to participate in a live debate on the air.
I would love that. I had the treasurer of the Forest Hill School District call me once, and I took him apart. He was eviscerated.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's try that out.
Yeah, that'd be great. Maybe we can get him next weekend or whatever, and do a live debate with him and see how he fares.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Rick McPherson, remain vigilant.
We will. Trust me.
All right. Have a great weekend, buddy.
Hey, thank you, Darryl.
Take care. 20 minutes after 10 on the big one. I'm sorry, Batavia. I am sorry, West Claremont. I am sorry, Norwood. The cry is coming out from Warren County this time around. I'm Darryl Parks on the big one, 700 WLW. Fox 19 Storm Tracker forecast. Chief Meteorologist Steve Horsemeyer saying for today, partly cloudy and breezy. Maybe a couple of pop-up showers possible this afternoon and this evening. 56 the high. Partly cloudy, chilly tonight, 35 the low. And then for tomorrow, partly cloudy, warmer, a few scattered showers during the afternoon, 66 the high. It looks like close to 70 on Monday, and it's going to be cold on Tuesday. 41, 700 WLW. You know what they do? Here's what they do if the levy goes down. As you know, in this area, they just go after busing. They just take out the busing, inconvenience some parents and, the soccer moms and the soccer dads, and take their little veal to school. And, it's just a hassle driving to the school, the elementary school, the high school. Here's what they do in Amanda, Ohio. Amanda's right outside Columbus. It's the Amanda Clear Creek school system. If what they're going to do is they're just simply going to cut out lunchtime if their 20-year streak of voting down levies continues in that school district. Superintendent Mike Johnson says dropping the traditional lunch hour will allow the district to cut costs through a shorter school day and the layoff of most employees who supervise students during lunch. Now, focus on that. Supervise students during lunch. Where are the teachers? Hello? Again, I may be old school in this, but the teachers supervised the lunchtime when I was in school. Where are the teachers? What, they get a Texas El Paso? To my point, 180,000 teachers in the state of Ohio. The support staff is about 120,000. That's where you make the cuts. And who said it's the responsibility of the school to provide a hot lunch? Where is that written? I know it's federal. I get that. I mean, it's all federal dollars going. But that never was. That wasn't the case in the beginning. Remember last year at the end of the school year? It was in Cincinnati, the CPS schools. They were providing lunch, and you have to follow along on this, but they were providing breakfast and lunch to kids up to 18 years old. Kids up to 18 years old. So the question I have is, in the city of Cincinnati, if they do that again this summer, there are 12 and 13 and 14-year-olds that don't know how to go and get a hamburger at McDonald's? Just a question. They're not capable of doing that? Lord. 513-749-7000, 1-800-THE-BIG-1, pound 700 on AT&T. Should a line become available. I have full lines now. We have anti-union of the core. We have schedule of teachers. We have a question of Rick, who was the guest. We have a question, are people really pro-union? I say yes, and that's okay. It's a free country. But the bigger question is, are people sick and tired of having their tax dollars abused by school boards and city councils and state houses and county commissioners that are elected to pay attention and do what is right with your dollars? That's the question. News time on the big one, 700 WL. 700 WLW, I'm Darryl Parks. Eric Dieter's on the way at 12:06 today. Join me on Facebook. Become my friend, won't you? Facebook.com. Darryl Parks is spelled DARRYLPARKS. We have, a fella made note that when I was picking on Nick and I was buying, he said veal moo. To his point, true, but bah is funnier than moo. So I made a creative decision to go with the sheep. I know I was referring to him as a veal, a baby cow. But it was just a creative decision right there. At least I think it's funnier. Join me on Facebook and become my friend. We have this topic as far as the offense of school levies, people begging me to support their opposition to their school levies around the tri-state. We also have that bucket list question. What artist or musical group that you haven't seen, they have to be alive, would be in your bucket list? The Monkees, says one woman. Monkees are coming to the Aronoff Center. I think in June. At 10:53, I'll reveal who mine is. It's an art. She's alive. I'll give you a clue. It's a she. That I would love to see. I think she's a fabulous artist. And a good rocker. A hell of a rocker. All right, 513-749-7000. Should a line become available, 25 in front of 11. Let's head to Madeira. Here is James. You're on the big one. Hey, James.
Hey, Darryl, how are you?
Good. And you?
Good. Hey, question. I mean, we met once in the parking lot. I work in the building with you, and you look like you have school-age kids. I don't know if you do or not, but
I have a 22-year-old.
Okay, well, if your kids were, if your kid was 10 years younger, would you be happy to sell your house on the east side right now and move out to Little Miami?
We have to look at the bigger picture, James. Well, the bigger picture is, number one, do some research and figure out why it is beneficial for someone to buy a home either in Little Miami or in Forest Hills or in Madeira where you live.
Well, I mean, let's just look at
it's all about, it comes down to personal responsibility, right?
Well, certainly it does.
And all our houses today are worth less. Has nothing to do with the school district. They're worth less today because of the economy. So that's a bigger issue.
Okay, but
bad comparison.
Well, not really. I mean, you're talking about an area that hasn't passed a levy, that's seen the schools taking on the state minimums. Are state minimums okay for you? I mean, are good with state minimums?
Well, Little Miami has an excellent rating.
For now, they do.
Sure. And they have over all these years when levies have been voted down.
You know as well.
So that's kind of a quandary, isn't it?
No, not really. You know as well as I do that it takes time for you're not going to rise overnight. You're not going to fall overnight.
So James, you're all about spending as much money as possible in a school district because that's going to make them excellent.
Oh no, not at all. We're going to have a tough decision in Madeira to make. Probably this year.
Right.
And it's up to the owners in that district whether they feel it's worth the money. But my bigger question for you, Darryl, is what is the right dollar amount? What would Czar Darryl say should be spent?
It's all about doing it efficiently. I made the point, 180,000 teachers in the state of Ohio. The support staff is about 130,000 people. There are ways to cut, James. And to your point about dollar figures and spending as much money as possible, the school system that spends, I believe, the most amount of money per pupil in our area, Cincinnati Public Schools. And where are they? The Cincinnati Public Schools has a budget of almost $500 million. Over the last number of years, they had a population of students of about 60,000. They are now down to, and they'll debate this, but it's about 30,000 students. And in fact, there was a study a couple of years ago by Ohio State University that said it's in the 20,000 student range. Yet they continue to have an infrastructure in that school system like they have a population in the city of Cincinnati of 600,000 people. That's the problem. People are moving. Look, the city of Cincinnati lost almost 11% of its population in the last 10 years. Yet, is the school district cutting back? No. I've made the point as far as when it comes to the city of Cincinnati, a number of years ago, they had that bond issue to build new schools, $1 billion. Where's that? It's vaporized. $1 billion. Simple math. If you take $1 billion and you get 5% interest, $50 million a year, you can build a new school from now until eternity and never, ever touch the principal. But sadly, when it comes to school systems, if you give them $1 million, they'll spend $1 more. 20 in front of 11 on the big one, 700 WL. 700 WLW in sports. It's game number 2 of the season for the Reds as they take on the Brewers tonight, 7:10. It's opening night at Great American Ballpark. That's a great promotion. And by the way, just a sideline here, I had a chance to talk to Bob Castellini. What a great guy Mr. Castellini is. I saw him on opening day, and what a cordial man, and so proud of the community and so proud of the Cincinnati Reds. We are blessed to have an owner such as Bob Castellini for the Cincinnati Reds. Tonight, Travis Wood on the mound for the Reds. Our coverage starts a little after 6 o'clock. It is the inside pitch, about 6:06 here on 700 WLW. Following that, it's Doc Rogers. Doc Rogers back with extra innings on the big one, 700 WLW. Semifinals in the NCAA. happening tonight. It's Butler taking on Virginia Commonwealth. That's the first game, 6 o'clock tip-off. The UK and UConn game is a tip-off at 8:49. You can hear both games on Fox Sports 1360, and you can hear the UK game on ESPN 1530. We got you covered as far as sports. Tickets on sale now for the Frampton Comes Alive 35th Anniversary Rural Tour. It's going to be at the PNC Pavilion at Riverbend on August 28th. That's one of those bucket list concerts I think we all have to go to and support our local guy, Peter Frampton. And people that don't know are scratching their heads saying, what? Yeah, Peter Frampton lives in Cincinnati. He's married to a Cincinnati woman. It's 15 in front of 10. I'm Darryl Parks. Let's go to tax killer Sandra in Lebanon. Hello, Sandra. How are you? You're on the big
Darryl.
one.
How are you today?
Doing
Sounds
well.
like you're in good spirits.
Yeah, I'm in good. I enjoy doing this.
Well, I'd like to say that all these school districts use the same strategy that's been working for them for years and years, and most of it's orchestrated up in Columbus with the OEA. And what they do is keep spending and spending and spending money they don't have, and then they go back to the property owners for more and more money. And they use the same strategies, cut busing, cut things that'll hurt the kids, and never once do they offer to give a little bit back from their benefits.
Mm-hmm.
So now in Lebanon, they're asking for $6.5 million a year, which is 8.2 mils from the property owners again. They have a stagnant enrollment. And I pulled off their website, their 5-year projection, and they're projecting a $33 million deficit by 2015.
Mm-hmm.
If you add up the increases in salary and benefits, turns out to be $32.5 million. So they are projecting what they're asking for, all of it, to go into salaries and benefits.
Well, Sandra, what's your reaction? In fact, on my blog at 700WLW.com is the video of that school board meeting in Lebanon where the one individual was told to sit down when they were going to go into the back room, into the cave, and conduct business and ignore the sunshine laws and ignore the sunshine. It's even beyond laws. To ignore their fiduciary responsibilities, controlling and spending correctly the tax dollars of the hardworking taxpayers in the Lebanon School District. What is your reaction about the school board and the superintendent going into the cave in the back room to cut the deal?
Well, that's what they always do. It seems very funny to me that they already knew what they were doing. We heard they sent a letter to all the employees to tell them they better negotiate their raises before SB 5 passed. So we knew they were negotiating. Mr. North, I was told, went to meet with the bus drivers and people like that and tell them you better get on the stick and get this done or your raises will be in jeopardy by SB 5.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all done ahead of time. I mean, the board voted so quickly. There was no good negotiations that went on. It was pretty obvious that they had somehow managed to talk to each other and decide this before this board ever met in public.
Here's the offensive thing. These deals are being cut everywhere, or were being cut everywhere prior to Thursday and that law going into effect.
Sure. They make these deals all the time. They're all... Like the board in Lebanon is controlled by the union. They go out and they campaign for these people. They recruit them. The board president right now was a former teacher. The usual board president's husband is one of the highest paid in the district. And she works for a company that the district pays money to, so she's got a double conflict of interest, plus her daughter and son-in-law work for the district. She sat right there and voted on those contracts. I mean, that is a total conflict of interest.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just too bad that the people don't... You can go to the Lebanon school website and pull down all their financial reports. You would be appalled. You can go to the state auditor's office and pull down the audits. They were just cited in their last audit that they may not get more federal money like the stimulus fund because they had compliance violations. So, they can wash that any way they want to, but the fact of the matter is they don't know what they're doing. None of them have ever run a business. None of them, they're all school people.
Well, it's an endless supply of money. And to your point about never running a business, they just know that they can just keep going back to the taxpayers and get that next levy passed, that additional levy. And, finally, people are standing up and saying enough is enough. We are looking at fiscal abuse happening on every level of government, from school boards to counties to the state government, federal government, local cities and towns. Every level, the abuse is happening, and people are finally waking up, Sandra, and that is a damn good thing.
I think it's true, and I think it's about time, because they've gotten away with this for many, many years.
Yep.
In fact, in Lebanon in 2005, they had a deficit of almost $6 million, an actual deficit. They had kept spending money they didn't even have. So they went to the school, the district taxpayers and begged and pleaded that the schools were going to have to close. And so they narrowly passed a levy at that time of 371 votes was the difference. It was 5,550 to 5,179. And it was all about the children. Well, it had nothing to do with the children. They were spending money. They didn't have $6 million, and then they came for the taxpayers to bail them out, and that's what they're doing now. They're projecting a $33 million deficit so that they think people will just boo-hoo and turn over their money to them.
Well, Sandra, it's never about the children. As you know, it's all about the perks and bennies.
That's exactly right.
All right. Sandra, have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, Darryl.
Bye-bye now. 10 before 11, I'm Darryl Parks. The Bulldog, Eric Dieters, at 12:06 on the Big One, 700 WS. Well, your future is being revealed in the state of Wisconsin now that the collective bargaining bill has been signed into law, SB 5. Here's what's going to happen if you're a private business owner and a small business owner. I can reveal your future. There is allegedly a letter going around. It was sent by a Jim Parrott, field representative of AFSCME Council 24 in the state of Wisconsin. He says, representing 1,900 hardworking state employees in Racine, Kenosha, and parts of Walworth and Waukesha counties. Dear Union Grove area business owner, it is unfortunate that you have chosen not to support public workers in Wisconsin. In recent past weeks, you have been offered a sign by a public employee who works in one of the state facilities in the Union Grove area. These signs simply said, quoting, "This business supports workers' rights." A simple, subtle, and we feel non-controversial statement given the facts at this time. It goes on and it just babbles on page after page here. So the recent action taken on the governor's budget repair bill has taken more from workers than dollars. It took away our right to bargain things such as sick leave and how it is used, vacation and how it is used, overtime and how it is fairly distributed. Our grievance procedure has been virtually destroyed, blah, 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 blah. With that, we'd ask that you reconsider taking a sign and stance in support public employees in this community. Failure to do so will leave us no choice but to do a public boycott of your business. And sorry, neutral means no to those who work for the largest employer in the area and our union members. Thanks. If you have questions, Jim Parrott, field rep, as I mentioned, and it is signed. The future in the state of Ohio. In aha, as they say. Let's head to Westchester. Here is Kathy, 700 WLW.
Hey, I just got to say one basic thing, pretty much, and that's for all the people that are out there boo-hooing and crying crocodile tears that they got to have this levy passed, like the guy that called that works in your station that met you in the parking lot and trying to give you the drivel about New Miami and would you want to move there. Tell him and everybody like him to go liquidate their house, liquidate their 401k, cash in all their assets, sell their cars, boats, planes, trains, automobiles, whatever they got, and send the money to the school. Write them a big fat check or whatever amount you want. If they really believe that the schools need more money and they're not getting enough, then who is stopping their hand from writing the check?
No one.
No, and see, that's what I get so sick of. They want everybody else to spend their money, but they really don't want to do it because it's all baloney.
Mm-hmm.
The people that want this it's all about the unions, and this workers' rights BS is all about, I don't care if you want to call it crazy, it's not. You can track it back. It has elements in communism and the movements from way back when. It's ancient. The workers' rights, it's a buzzword. Anyway, the money never goes to help the real issues of reading, writing, arithmetic. It all goes to double-dipping superintendents, which we have had in Lakota, teachers getting paid too much, 3 school psychologists making, 6 figures, crap you don't need. And then what they do in the newspapers is they tell the parents, well, we're going to stop busing. Your kids are going to have to drive the car, or you're going to have to take them to school, and they want to really hurt you. It's like they want to torture you.
It's not hurt. The word is inconvenience. Because if you're inconvenienced, chances are the next time a levy comes up for a vote, you're going to vote for it.
Well, you know what? If people are that stupid to believe that, we've got to stop pandering to this. We've got, and people are finally, like Sandra said, good for her over in her district, because it's the same crap everywhere.
Yep.
They had backroom meetings here at Lakota. They kept us out. Look, by the time you go to the board, you know what it is? The school board is just a facade. It is really already cut and dried when the public goes, and the decisions have already been made. When you go to a school board meeting, you think you've got some power, you have zero. You're going to be told what's already going to happen under the guise of you have some power.
Well, Kathy, I want you to go to my website, 700WLW.com, look at my blog, because there's the video of the Lebanon School Board meeting where the superintendent of schools tells someone who is speaking out to sit down. And he doesn't do it in a very nice tone either. The Bulldog, Eric Dieters at 12:06. Matt Patrick is up at 3:06. And what else? Oh, Reds baseball tonight. You can't beat that as they take on the Brew Crew on the home of the Reds, 700 WLW.